What's going on, everyone? Quick video here. Let's talk leaf blowers. Some of you guys, landlords out there, homeowners, you might be doing a little bit of your own landscaping, whether that's for the properties that you own, even a rental property. And I think a blower is an essential tool for anything landscaping. That, along with your weed eater and your actual mower, or just a weed eater, are going to be the essential tools you need to keep your yard looking good. I recently purchased an electric bike. It got me into a little bit of this electric craze, and I started thinking, well, what else can I go electric with? And I thought, my tools, my lawn tools, my power tools. I already use a lot of the Ryobi electric tools, so I started out by buying a Ryobi electric leaf blower to be my first yard tool that I'm using the electric battery with. And I was already using a Husqvarna blower here. Awesome tools. Between Lowe's and Home Depot, you got the Husqvarna and EGO products, which I both highly recommend if you want to stick with gasoline. And I've had this product here for about 4 years now, and it's treated me great. A little over $200 retail initially when I purchased this, and I think it's still around that same price. They don't lose value. And anyone knows when you see this orange on a tool out there on the road, some money went into this product. I did have to replace the carburetor on this since I have purchased this. So I had to put a little bit of time into that and money to keep this running good, along with the extra money of keeping two-stroke fluid in this one, which is that mixture of the oil and gas. So what am I using my leaf blowers and tools for? Well, I'm using them for sitting on a quarter-acre lot. And that quarter-acre lot involves me usually just weed eating. I don't even use a mower. It would go quicker, yes, but I use a weed eater and a blower for everything. And I think a pretty common yard size out there for most houses is gonna be under an acre. And I think more common than that would be around that quarter-acre size yard for the average home across America. That's just my guess. So that quarter acre is the yard that I'm working with on a weekly basis, making sure I keep it nice and clean. This blower gets put to use. It probably goes through one fill up per 2 uses, depending on how much I'm really using it around. I know that's hard to gauge, but I do have 3 oak trees around my property that drop a lot of leaves at least half the year. And this year we got one of those years where the acorns are dropping too. It sucks. A blower is always needed. So this video is to talk about blowers, and specifically the EGO, but it was not the first one that I purchased. This is the second electric blower I purchased after going with the Ryobi. I went with the Ryobi that cost about $200 from Home Depot. It was the 550 CFM. I went with the Ryobi because, again, I just mentioned to you guys I've got the Ryobi tools, so I like the Ryobi brand. I actually like Lowe's better, but I still purchased all those Ryobi tools from Home Depot. Regardless, I did purchase the Ryobi blower to start. And there was a few things for myself I wasn't crazy about. I love the actual design and the look of it. I think the actual physical design of the Ryobi blower comes in a little bit shorter in length than the EGO. So that was something I favored when holding it. Also, the battery placement on the Ryobi. You'll see that the battery actually goes on the very top of the Ryobi, and there's an adjustable handle that you can hold, so you can actually, based upon the weight of the Ryobi with the battery attached, you could adjust that handle so that when you're holding it, it's going to be aimed or lowered at the right height that's comfortable for you. I did really like that. It also comes with a 40 volt, 4 amp hour battery. And in terms of the running features, when you were using the Ryobi, you had to always be holding the trigger. And that was actually the biggest con. I'll tell you guys right now, my biggest drawback from the Ryobi was the fact that I always had to be holding on the actual power switch, power button, whatever you want to call it, to keep the blower running. That might sound very minor to some of you, but for myself, you know, it's just extra strength. It's extra muscle that's being used. And it's not that convenient for me when I'm getting into weird spots, and that was just my main negative about the Ryobi. The runtime was not great. I saw a lot of different numbers out there for the length of time, and again, I'm on a quarter-acre lot. I got about 15 minutes of average use between using the turbo button and just the regular throttle. The Husqvarna runs, obviously, till you run out of gas, depending on how much you're using it. It also had a cruise control button. So this right here, which is actually broken, would allow me to hold the trigger into place, my throttle, so I wouldn't have to always be holding it down. And also you're dealing with the smell of the gas. So I returned the Ryobi, although it matched all the products. I wasn't crazy about it, and I kept seeing the EGO. I saw it on some YouTube videos, I saw it online, I saw it in the store, which only Lowe's carries the EGO brand now. I know they have a great name and reputation in terms of electric tools. So this one actually cost $300, and I had to ask myself, was the $100 really worth it for the gains that I was gonna get with this, the potential gains? I didn't own it yet. We're talking 100 more CFM. This is a 650, as you see here, 650 CFM, cubic feet per minute. This one actually has the 56 volt 5 amp hour battery, and it had the one thing that was important to me, and that's the cruise control. I'll show you here real quickly what that cruise control is like. And I love that. So it's a variable cruise control button on this, and I really love that. In terms of aiming this down in the distance to the ground, I'm about 5'9", 5'10" for my height, and I would think anybody that's 6 feet or taller would definitely want to go with this version, just with the attached nozzle piece right here. The attachment does not come on the Ryobi. You actually just get this piece here, unless I had somebody's that was returned. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but all I had was the one tube. So you have this attachment, and you also get this attachment here if you like that. So you have the different attachments on here, but overall the actual length is a little bit too long for me. I mentioned battery placement, so the EGO has the battery placed on the actual rear. So you can see here, it is a hefty battery. It's heavier, but that's obvious. I had a 40 volt 4 amp hour with the Ryobi, so I've increased that by going 56 volt 5 amp hour. This one slides onto the back, Ryobi on the top. Again, I was able to adjust the handle on the Ryobi, so I was able to position the blower so it was perfectly aimed for my height and the way I was holding it. That was my favorite feature of the Ryobi, was the adjustable handle, but the cruise control, no matter what, was something that I had to have on my electric blower. And I quickly realized that after using 2 full battery cycles with the Ryobi. So let's talk battery. So I mentioned to you that this one's on the back, which does help level it out, because when this battery's not attached, it's definitely leaning a lot more towards the front. I love that with the battery here, you have an indicator while you're running this, so when I'm holding it down, this light stays on. I think that's great. So I always know what my charge level is at. There's 5 indicators, whereas the Ryobi battery actually only has 4 indicators. I think the more indicators you have, the more accurate. So that's 20% increments versus 25%. That's a big deal to me. One nice thing is there is no power curve with these, meaning when I'm at 1 battery versus 5 on the indicator level, this is blowing the exact same. And in talking about that, if I have this on the lowest run setting, and then I hit the turbo button, it's actually full turbo, as if this was already running on full and adding that. So you go full pressure when you hit that turbo button, no matter what. And now, now that I've talked about the differences in these, I'll say now that I've used this through 2 full cycles on this one, the only negatives about this is, again, just the weight and not being able to have this handle in a position that I want it. And then the last thing would be the actual charger for the battery. So the battery, which is huge, goes on a huge charger that's about the same size. So it's loud. I know you're not going to hear that right now, but there's a fan, you can hear it running in that charger, and I understand it's 5 amp hours, that's big. So we got our charger, we got our battery charging up right now. It takes about 50 minutes to charge that battery. I was at 1 battery level, so you can see it's blinking to go to the next light. It actually charges very similar to drone batteries with the indicator lights, if you're familiar with a drone battery, a DJI specifically. But anyways, that was just a quick overview of the EGO versus the Ryobi. Now, let's go back to talking about just the electric versus the gas. Something that my gas blower can't do that the electric can do would be operate upside down. In your gas, in your tank, in your reservoir here, you have a tube, a line that's going down into the very bottom where most of the gas is usually sitting. That's picking the gas up. So therefore, if I have this upside down, unless I'm absolutely full or close to full on my tank of gas, most likely my blower is going to stop running. Electric, I can go every single direction. It doesn't matter which way I'm going. It doesn't matter, gas isn't gonna be spilling out of the tank. It's not gonna stop running because there's not enough fuel getting in there. So that is a nice positive for the electric. Something else, again, minor, might not be a big deal to you, but are you left-handed, are you right-handed? Do you favor one or the other when you're using your tool? With my Husqvarna here, the fan actually that does the sucking in when you're running this, if I'm using my left hand and I'm a lefty, it's up against my left hip, my left leg. So it's always pulling at my clothes, pulling at my shirt. So I've learned and had to train myself to use that one right-handed. Not a big deal. Again, just something minor, but it's also worth notating. But again, my Husqvarna has an attachment so it can be a mulcher, a leaf mulcher as well. I got away from using that knowing that I can just throw my leaves into a bin and they get hauled away that way. I don't have to be worrying about the space as much as long as I keep up with my yard work. And what helps you keep up with your yard work is having tools that you can always use when you need it. I pull the battery off the charger, and unless I forgot to charge my battery, I'm always gonna be able to grab this and go use it. I could use it in my house if I wanted because I'm not gonna have that gas smell. That gas smell, I can't talk enough about it. When I use this, if I want to take this blower, I got some guests about to come over to my house. I take my gas blower out and I blow the driveway off. I smell like gas. I don't care if I use it for 30 seconds or 30 minutes, I smell like gas from it. So there's been times where I've gotten out into my boxers, if it's early enough in the morning, run out to the driveway, clear it off, run back in, then get dressed just so I don't smell like smoke or gas, whatever it is. I know, that's crazy, I'm crazy. But anyways, I love the electric tools. I'm already hooked. Yes, it was $300. I know it's gonna last a while. It's gonna be cheaper in the long run versus continuously using gas in this. I am gonna keep the Husqvarna as an awesome backup. And again, it's got that mulching option as well. If you already got those tools, is this needed? No. Is it nice? Is it something I would consider on your next purchase for a blower or a power tool? Yes, and I'm gonna be excited to expand the lineup of what I'm using with the electric tools. Maybe a mower next, but we'll see. But I thought I would just share my experience buying this new blower, how I'm actually satisfied with it, and help somebody out there make another good informed decision when you're out there shopping around. I do think buying that Ryobi is a good option for somebody, even if they have a little bit of a smaller yard. If they don't need this much power and want to spend the 300 bucks, I will say the CFM difference, it's noticeable, but the Ryobi was probably good enough for me. I did get up on the roof with this one and blow out the gutters, and it kicked butt. When I started using this turbo button, anything that was not coming up with the normal just full high, the second I used this turbo button, it was blowing everything out of the way. I already like this one. It is performing better than the Ryobi. Is it performing $100 better because of the cruise control button? Yes, it is. And I just paid for that luxury. But anyways, hope that helped you guys out. And I hope to bring you guys some more of these useful videos. I know I talk a lot about real estate, but at the end of the day, if you're in real estate, there's a good chance you might be working on or fixing some houses and keeping them looking nice. And this is one of these tools that's gonna help you do it. So, go check out Ego. I'm not being paid for this video. I'm not being paid for my time doing this, but I know I'm helping somebody else out there. And if I did help you, hit that subscribe, hit the thumbs up, share it. Don't care what you do with it, but thanks for watching. Only other side note is the noise that this one produces is a little bit more of a mechanically high-pitched noise coming from the motor, whereas the Ryobi sounded more like a true gas blower, which is interesting. So the one thing I will say about this, if you're getting it too close to your head when you're trying to get up to certain spots, you could end up with a little bit of a ringing in your ear. So I would suggest wearing some ear protection when using this. If you're gonna be using it for a prolonged period of time, like anything over 15 minutes, I would recommend it. But again, highly recommend this.